Girivaradhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivaradhari Jayo Girivaradhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari
Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivaradhari Jayo Girivaradhari
Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana
Jayo Yashodanandana Jayo Brajajana Ranjana
Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana
Jayo Yashodanandana Jayo Brajajana Ranjana
Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya
Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya
Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava
Jayo Kunja Bihari
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari
Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So my humble pranams, namaste, gratitude to each and every one of you who is present here. And we are going to start this journey of studying Bhagavad Gita together. And I'm so grateful and overwhelmed with the amazing response and of so many wonderful souls who are interested to read Bhagavad Gita, to study Bhagavad Gita. And this is the best thing we can do in our lives, right? Let's do a quick, hand raise. The option to hand raise. Raise your hand if you are from the Tampa area, Tampa or surrounding Florida areas. So some of you are from Tampa or Florida areas. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so now the next question. Raise your hand if you are joining from India. So you can, for the Tampa souls, you can put your hand back and raise your hand if you're joining from India. Actually, my special gratitude to all of you for joining at 4 a.m. in the morning. It's not easy, right? But this shows that how determined you are to study Bhagavad Gita. There's a very nice verse that even one studies one word of Bhagavad Gita, one tries to follow one word of Bhagavad Gita, that person will not have to face the messengers of death or Yamadutas. What to speak of someone who is so interested and eager to put the study of Bhagavad Gita as one's priority in life. So I'm going to sometimes share my screen. Sometimes we will engage in conversation. Sometimes I'll ask you to read so that we can make it an interactive and engaging discussion. At the same time, I would also like some of you may be totally new to this process, may have not even heard the word Bhagavad Gita, right? Anyone like who has not even heard what is Bhagavad Gita all about, has no clue what is Bhagavad Gita, has nothing, no idea. uh, so some of you are there. So that's absolutely fine, because the beauty of Bhagavad Gita is the more we study, the more we engage, every time it will come up, we will be able to understand newer and newer realizations. And the most important thing, that Bhagavad Gita is not a book of theory. It's a book to put into practice. And we all know that easier said than done. We can understand some philosophical point, we can try to grab some theory, but to put into practice, we need a lot and lot of sincere effort, prayers, and a lot of determination. And we need to remind ourselves again and again. Otherwise, we will be entrapped by the influences which kind of surround us. So today, what we will do, we will do a background of Bhagavad Gita and why is reading Bhagavad Gita or studying Bhagavad Gita important. And we will try to start with the first verse of Bhagavad Gita. And in the following sessions, so the goal is, so today is February 6, 2021 in US, 7th in India. But the goal is that in about 1 year or about 52 sessions, so this will be every Saturday evening, we complete the whole Bhagavad Gita. So that's our goal. And I encourage and request that everyone tries to keep up and try to not miss the sessions, because it's very important to keep going with the flow. So today our goal will be to focus on the why Bhagavad Gita is important. What is in it for Bhagavad Gita? What is in it for me, right? Everyone wants to ask that question. Why should I even bother to study Bhagavad Gita? But before even I go into that, I want to share some housekeeping rules. So this is my, I'm like your younger brother, friend, well-wisher, son, whichever relation you consider, brother. So these are my few requests. So number one, let's try to engage. And I have, personally felt this, that in my class with the kids, my rule is that everyone should keep the video on. That helps the receiver to be absorbed and to have 100% attention. So try to keep your video on if possible. If you're in a situation where you don't feel comfortable, I absolutely understand that. There may be, situations you don't feel comfortable, but as far as possible, keep your video on. And you can take notes also. There will be a lot of things we will be studying from Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavad Gita as it is book, which most of you may have. If you don't have, send me a message. I can arrange a copy for you, whether you are in US, Canada, Europe, or in India. And then time and again, I will ask some of you to share your thoughts or reflect on some topic. So at that point, you can also say your name and from which city you are joining. Because if I ask now, it may take the whole hour to just do the introduction, because there are more than about like 50 devotees who have joined. But so whenever you are sharing something or asking a question, you can share your name, which city you are joining, take some notes and reflect also, and then approach with little faith. So for example, you go to a new restaurant, right? We all may have gone to some restaurants in the past. We don't doubt everything, right? Oh, there's a new curry, looks like they may have put poison in this. I'm not sure if they have put poison or not. Oh, I should not eat this salad, they may have put something wrong in there. So if you keep doubting everything, who all think you will be able to enjoy that or relish that meal? Anyone thinks like that? Right? Down? You'll not be able to relish, correct? You all agree? Yes? Rather, we'll keep suffering. So, I'm not saying to have blind faith. Bhagavad Gita does not encourage blind faith. But there will be some points. For example, we have to, in science also, there's something called axiomatic truth. For example, some things, we just accept from the bona fide teacher. So whatever we are going to share here is not my thoughts, it's not her thought, or it's not any Tom, Dick, Harry's thought. It's the words of the God, Bhagavad Gita, the song of the Supreme Lord. And Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We will go with that axiom, and slowly you will be able to understand as well that how he is the Supreme Lord and why this Bhagavad Gita is not an ordinary book. Correct? Do we read? How many of you raise your hand if you read a 100 days old newspaper, or 5 months old, or 5 years old magazine? Does anyone read that? 5 years old magazine or 50 years old magazine? Generally not, right? We will not, because 50-year-old, who will, the things have changed, everything has changed. They may talk about something where internet was not there and things like that, but now things have totally changed. So, but Bhagavad Gita is 5,000 years old, technically, although it's eternal. You'll see that also in chapter 4. But it is still relevant in every person's situation, in every person's life, whether we are student or professional, male or female, young or old, no matter what our situation is, Bhagavad Gita will give us unlimited, timeless lessons. There is Bhagavad Gita is a book of life. It's like a manual. You buy a product, let's say I buy this mouse. Okay, I'm using this mouse. But if I don't know how to operate it, what will I do? I will refer the manual. I will put my faith in the manual of that product who the manufacturer has supplied, so that I can properly understand how to operate that product. Similarly, life is God's creation, Bhagavan's creation, Krishna's creation. And similarly, to operate this life in a beautiful way, in a way the life is really meant to be run, we have to refer to a manual. And what is that manual? Given by the manufacturer. And who is the manufacturer? The Supreme Lord has given this beautiful manual, Bhagavad Gita, the song of God. So we should approach with little faith, okay? And some things may not be clear in the beginning, but eventually they will get very clear. And the next point is you will get what you want from Bhagavad Gita. It's an interesting point, because Krishna is like desire fulfilling tree, and Bhagavad Gita is non-different from the Supreme Lord. So if we want knowledge, we will get knowledge. If we want to learn shlokas, we will get that. If we want life lessons, we will get that. But our ultimate goal should be not to get something material. Bhagavad Gita is there to give us the topmost thing, which is beyond this material world, and that is bhakti. And we will understand that And also, as I said, in this session, which will be about an hour and a half, we will not, read every word of Bhagavad Gita. So I encourage you all to do some reading at your place as well. Now, you are different students of Bhagavad Gita joining from different parts of the country and the globe all around. You will learn to the degree you have eagerness to read here. And that applies to everyone. The teacher is the same, but different students learn differently. Why? Because of their own eagerness to understand that subject matter, to understand, to grow, to learn. So I would encourage that you also, as we are going reading, for example, let's say we are reading chapter 1, text 5 to 15, or we are discussing on that, I would encourage you to parallelly at your home or residence, wherever you are, you read that during the week so that you are set up, and you will, if you may have questions, you can come up with questions, etc. And some of you have already filled the survey form, which is great, which helps me understand the different diversity of all of you. Some of you have been practicing this path for very, very long time, years, and some of you are quite new in your journeys. Everything is accepted, because Bhagavad Gita is applicable for the beginner and for the advanced equally, and it will give wonderful lessons to everyone. And last but not the least, if you feel inspired, try to share that word. Try to share what you have learned with your friend, relative, mother, father, husband, wife, friends, children, etc. Share, because the more you share, the more you will learn. The more, and Krishna will be pleased with you. In chapter 18, Krishna says that there is no one more dear to me than one who shares this message with others. So these are some of the ground rules, and I encourage everyone to the best of your degrees, try to follow these as far as possible. And now, before we begin our journey, it is very, very important to seek blessings of our teachers, because this is a descending process. This is not an ascending process. In the descending process, the knowledge flows from top to bottom, like how the potential, from high potential to low potential, the electricity flows. The ball in the up, from high gravitational potential or potential energy to lower potential energy. So everything in life flows from top to bottom. So similarly, we have to seek blessings and prayers and invoke auspiciousness before we even begin this journey. So we will chant some of these prayers to invoke the blessings of our parampara. Parampara means the guru, shishya, disciplic succession. This knowledge is coming directly from the Supreme Lord, Krishna, and then to Sri Brahma and Narada, etc. And then in the modern, about 100 years back or 500 years back, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came with the Supreme Lord, and then the Shad Goswamis, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and then ultimately to Srila Prabhupada, and then to his disciples and grand disciples, etc. It's flowing through, connected all the way to the unbroken chain of the Supreme Personality of God. This is called Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. So let's chant these prayers so that we can tap into the mercy. And before beginning anything in life, we should always seek prayers and blessings of the Supreme Lord and of our teachers, because we are a blessing of our teachers. Whatever we are is by the mercy of our teachers only. Without their mercy, without their blessings, what can we do? Nothing. So let's chant these prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhar
Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langate grim yat kripatamaham bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. We also seek all of yours prayers and blessings because ultimately if it's you who give us so much inspiration in this journey. You know, devotees are joining at 4 a.m. in the morning. That speaks a lot. All of you are joining from so many different parts of the country and parts of the globe. Although we may be physically separate, but I feel we are so connected through this medium of Srila Prabhupada's family and through the medium of Srila Bhagavad Gita, the song of God. People in this world think about, mundane songs and Hollywood songs and Bollywood songs, which have a beginning and an end. Today, this song may be famous. 10 years back, some X song may be famous. 20 years back, some Y song may be famous. But one song remains forever famous, and that's the song of the Supreme Lord, Bhagavad Gita. So thank you so much again and again for your sincere interest in studying Bhagavad Gita, for your eagerness, for your determination. And let's pray to the Supreme Lord so that we execute this or we complete this project of studying Bhagavad Gita. It's a never-ending project. And let's pray to the Samundra Manthan Leela, because in the Samundra Manthan Leela, which we are reading in the Bhagavatam, and that's going to end very shortly actually, whoever starts a project, any project which we have started by hearing the Samundra Manthan Leela or by meditating upon that Leela, no project which we have begun will end in the middle. So that means it will successfully complete. We'll be able to successfully complete our journey. And that's we all want, so that we don't just join for the first day or don't just join for the first 1 or 2 weeks, but we join every week, and rather the number should keep increasing so that the more and more souls can take benefit of this message of Bhagavad Gita, the song of God. So today, as we discussed, when the why is strong, today the focus will be why Bhagavad Gita, correct? When the why is strong, then the how will get easier. A great philosopher has said this. So similarly, why do I need to study Bhagavad Gita? And I'll take, 1 or 2 reflections from all of you, that why are you here? Why you want to study Bhagavad Gita? Just maybe two people, two devotees can raise hand, and just in short and sweet. So first you can tell your name and city, and then you can tell why you want to study Bhagavad Gita. So maybe one male devotee, we call them by Prabhu, and one female devotee, we call them Mataji, out of respect. And so one here, Sachin, you want to tell, and one Mataji can tell.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna to all. My name is Sachin Chaudhary and I am from Rolla, USA. So the question is, as I correctly, please correct me if I am not getting the question right. The question is, why do we study Bhagavad Gita? So if the question is, why do we study Bhagavad Gita? So this Bhagavad Gita knowledge was delivered by Lord Krishna directly to Arjuna, and 5,000 years ago, as you have rightly mentioned. So to be to dovetail our perverted existence towards attaining the supreme. So that's the and engage our 11 senses into service of Krishna.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sachinji. Any Matajis would like to tell? Anyone female devotee? Yes, Shri Prasad Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna, everybody. My name is Sheetal Prasad, and I'm from Jackson, Tennessee, in the United States. And the reason why I would like to learn the Bhagavad Gita is just to understand, how one should go about in life, gain knowledge to deal with situations when there is, like we are always, it's life is easy when everything is happy, but when we are in distress, how should one go about?
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm sure others will also have wonderful reasons. But let's see what Sripad Adi Shankaracharya is telling in his famous Gita Mahatmya. So I would request one of you to read the Sanskrit and one of you to read. So raise your hand if you would like to read, and then I can keep taking names. Yes, Aparna ji, would you like to read this piece? And then one can read English. Please
Hare
start.
Krishna to all of you. Gita Shastram idam punam yaha pathet parayata puman Vishnu padam avapnoti bhayashloka vivarjitaha. Translation: one who with a regulated mind recites with devotion this Bhagavad Gita scripture, which is the bestower of all virtue, will attain to a holy abode, such as Vaikuntha, the residence of Lord Vishnu, which is always free from the mundane qualities based on fear and lamentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much. So there are 8 or 7 verses in this Gita Mahatmya. We'll study all of them step by step. That means that Sripad Shankaracharya is mentioning here one with a regulated mind. Yaha pathet prayata puman. Prayatan means to endeavor to follow it also. Because just reading is fine. It will certainly help us in purification or just hearing. But one may learn all the verses of Bhagavad Gita. Unless and until we try to follow it, the impact would be very, very minimal. But we want to take the maximum impact, right? We just don't want to read Bhagavad Gita. We want to read, we want to understand, we want to apply Bhagavad Gita in our lives. And therefore, we will study practical lessons also from Bhagavad Gita. So many lessons, because Bhagavad Gita, it's not that it was spoken to Arjuna 5,000 years back. How does it apply to me? Each and every verse of Bhagavad Gita, each and every translation and purport has so many lessons. If we have those eyes to see, if we have that mood to understand that what is Lord trying to teach me today, then we will get wonderful lessons from every verse, from every chapter. And then what will happen? Bhaya and shoka. In this world, we have fear. Anyone who is there? No fear at all. Fearless, completely fearless, completely free from lamentation. Right? We all have different fears. Fear of corona, fear of losing our job, fear of losing our dear ones, fear of losing money, fear of losing our health, right? So many fears we have. Fear of losing home, fear of, so many fears. And then lamentation, past and future, hankering, lamentation, etc. So Shripa Shankaracharya is mentioning that if we sincerely study Bhagavad Gita every day, yah patet pat prayatha puman, and that person will attain the supreme destination, that is Vaikuntha, where there is no kuntal, where there is no distress or no disturbance. That place is Satchidananda, Keval Ananda Kanda. It's full of eternal bliss. Who doesn't want to go to a place free from all these anxieties, right? We all want to go. Okay, so that's the first verse. So we'll do the next few ones as well. So now I request the next devotee to please read the second verse. Anyone wants to read text 2?
No.
Yes, Sachinji, please. And then Ishwari Mataji can read. Yes, Sachin, do you want to go ahead with this one?
Yes, yes. Gita Shilasya Pranayama Parasya Cha Naiva Shanti Hi Papani Purna Janma Kirtani Cha. If one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon him.
Wow. Is there anyone who has not done any papa? Papa means sinful activity. Like it could be a small thing, it could be a big thing. And someone will say, well, yeah, I am a completely pure person. I have done no sinful activity in this life, which is impossible. Which is impossible because the moment we breathe, we are breathing some microorganism. The moment you drive, we are killing some ants there on the road. Correct? We will study all that later. But what to speak of this life? Even Purva Janma. And let's accept it as an axiom that there is life after death, and there is a cycle of reincarnation, and we'll study that topic in greater details in the advanced chapters. But for now, let's accept that this life is not everything. Correct? It is based on the activities we do, we will get the next body. So what will happen? One who reads Bhagavad Gita, all the sinful activities one may have performed knowingly, unknowingly, in whatever way, the reactions will not act upon that. That means one will go back home. One will not have to take birth again in the cycle of birth and death. Now, this is third verse is really interesting and one of my favorites. Yes, Ishwari Mataji, you want to please read?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Maline mochanam pumsam jala snanam dine dine sakrit gita mrita snanam samsara mala nashanam. Translation. One may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in water. But if one takes a bath even once in the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, for him the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. This is so beautiful. We all take bath, right? Why do we take bath? Anyone would like to answer? Why do we take bath? Very simple question. Yes, Karina will answer.
To keep yourself clean, Hare Krishna.
To keep yourself clean. Yes. Saurabh and Saloni, you want to say something?
Yeah, just to freshen up every day.
Yes, to free ourselves from the bodily or physical impurities, correct? Outside the body, we get impure by sweat, dirt, and all those things, sleeping. And what if we don't do? What if we don't take bath?
So actually the real meaning of bathing is not only saucham, but it's more than that, as I understand. But I am not fully, fully remember it. But in the recent modern times, we have lost it, the real substance of snanam.
I see. It's an interesting point. Correct. So my question is now that what if we don't take bath? What will happen? Is Ekant going to answer?
Physically, if we don't take bath, Prabhuji, we'll get a lot of diseases and skin problems. But spiritually, if you are not cleansed and taking bath, I think we'll keep piling up all the anarthas and papas and everything, and then we'll just have to pay for it by taking birth repeated again and again. So I'm
Wonderful.
thinking that's what I'm thinking.
Thank you. And that's what Shripa Shankaracharya is mentioning, that we take bath every day with soap, water, shampoo, whatever we use, to purify our external body of the dirt and impurities, etc. If we don't do so, then we'll get diseased. We will get bad smell, etc., and eventually we'll get disease. Now we are getting a lot of contamination in our consciousness also, correct? From the outside world, you all agree that we get a lot of contamination. Some agitation, anger, greed, and lusty desires, bad thoughts, envy, etc. Lust, anger, greed, envy. All these bad impurities are contaminating, correct? Our consciousness. How will we purify that? Sakrit Gita Amrita Snanam. Sakrit means even once we take bath by the nectar of the Ganges of Bhagavad Gita, then samsara maranashram, then we will be free from all the impurities which the material world may throw upon us. It's like a lamination. The paper, if it has, let's say, if it's a small piece of paper, okay, if I put a red dot will come on this. You right? Agree? If I put a blue dot will come, and vice versa. If I throw some dirt, the dirt will come on the paper. But if I laminate this paper, correct, then all those things will be easily washed away. They will not affect that paper. Very simple. Similarly, if we immune ourselves daily by reading Bhagavad Gita, then the impurities of the material world will not affect us. That's a very important lesson. So let's keep going to text 4 now, and let's read text 4. Please raise your hand if you're interested to read, and if you've read once, then let's give chance to others as well. Yes, Saurabh, you want to read?
Yeah. Gita Sugita Kartavya Kim Anya Shastra Vistre Ya Swayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padmad Vinishrita. Translation: because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one need not read any other Vedic literature. One need only attentively and regularly hear and read Bhagavad Gita. In the present age, people are so absorbed in the mundane activities that it is not possible for them to read all the Vedic literatures. But this is not necessary. This one book, Bhagavad Gita, will suffice because it is the essence of all Vedic literatures, and especially because it is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you so much. In today's day and age, there are so many Vedic literatures, Upanishads, Puranas, and etc., etc. But we will study later also in the actual text number 6 that how Srimad Bhagavad Gita is like the condensed version, like the milk of all the Vedic literatures. So if we have something, the example is given that if you have $1,000,000, then will you ask for $1 to someone, or $2 or $3, right? Will you ask? Will anyone ask if you already have $1,000,000? You won't ask, right? Pretty simple. Similarly, if we have the essence of the knowledge given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, here, spoken directly from his mouth, although Krishna and all his body parts are transcendental, and there is absolutely no difference in the feet and the face. But in the hierarchical sense, we can say that the face is better than the feet. So Ganga is coming from the Mother Ganga is coming from the feet of the Supreme Lord. And to take bath in Mother Ganga, we have to go to Haridwar or the Indian territory and some wherever Mother Ganga flows. But to take bath in the nectar of Bhagavad Gita, we can be in Jackson, we can be in Tampa, we can be in New Jersey, we can be in Delhi, we can be in Kanpur, we can be in any part of the world, any continent of the world, we can take bath. And that's especially in this day and age, not only we can take bath individually, we can be collectively. It's like a sangam. And we are all taking bath in the Ganges of Bhagavad Gita together. Isn't it a beautiful sangam? Right? That's what happens where devotees come and they take bath in the Ganges or Triveni Sangam, etc. So here, it's like an online Sangam where all of us from different parts of the country and different parts of the globe have come together to take bath, to purify our consciousness to in this Sangam of devotees by this nectar coming from Mukha, from Krishna's beautiful lotus mouth. What could be more glorious? What could be more special? Let's study the next 3 verses as well. So please, we'll keep reading. Text number 5. Anarpita Karunamataji, you want to read, please?
Prabhuji, did you call me, Prabhuji?
I called some other devotee, but I think you're ready, so let's
Prabhuji, I really wanted to
keep
read.
going. Okay, you can read, Karina. And then Anarpita Mataji can read the next one.
Go ahead.
Okay, Mataji. Prabhuji. Is it text 5, Prabhuji?
Correct.
Okay. Bharatamrita sarvasvam Vishnu vakra vinis. Prabhuji, compile this
Okay.
word.
Vishnu Vakratam Vinishritam.
Vinishritam. Gita Gangodakam Punarjanma
Pitva
Pitva Punarjanma na vidyate.
Vidyate.
Translation: by drinking the Ganges waters of the Gita, the divine quintessence of the Mahabharata, emanating the from the holy lotus mouth of Lord Vishnu. No one will never take rebirth in the material world again. In other words, by devotionally reciting the Gita, the cycle of birth and death is terminated.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. It's very, very straightforward and easy to understand. And we discussed that before, because if once, all the impurities have been washed away by drinking the nectar, by bathing in the nectar of Bhagavad Gita, so what will happen? Then we will not be subjugated to repeated birth and death. Punarjanma na vidyate. One will not take birth in different species of life like cat, dog, etc. What will happen? We discussed. That person will go back home, back to Godhead, and that's the supreme abode. I think one of you asked a question in the chat that where are we? Can you share which book from these verses? Actually, it's in the introduction. So the homework assignment for all of you is to at least read the introduction and text 1. So I would encourage that at least the more, as I said in the beginning, if you read, it will help you further. And it's in the introduction towards the end. All these verses, that's page number, I believe, 30 or 31. Yeah, there could be, different editions or like font sizes and stuff. So in the end of introduction, you'll find these verses. And for those who don't have, they can also refer to the online Bhagavad Gita and database. And I can also send this to you for your reference as well. I just put this in so it's easy to read. So I think in the interest of time, we will read text 6 and 7 in our next session. It's always good to start with one Gita Mahatmya verse. But for now, let's discuss a topic on the same lines, that why is Bhagavad Gita important? That when we have, let's say I was talking this morning that when we have a flight, let's say at 3 a.m., we'll get up, we'll be ready because we know that we have, done We may have paid some decent amount of money to book the tickets, and we don't want to miss it. So we'll be ready. So when the why is strong, then the how will get easier. So Arjuna here is put into a kind of delusionary state, is put into illusion, and he's asking multiple questions. Bhagavad Gita is like a question and answer, where Arjuna is asking questions and Krishna is answering, the Supreme Lord is answering questions. And those questions are not just ordinary questions. Those questions are basically for all of us. Nowadays, these days, they have talk shows, correct? So they may bring sometimes, like let's say a health talk show. Sometimes they may bring a doctor, let's say, okay, a doctor about, who is expert in corona. So he'll talk about, so some interviewer or host will ask, okay, what are the symptoms, and how can we prevent it? What should we do? What should we not do, etc. So is the host asking for his own self, right? No, you all say no. The host is asking for the benefit of all the audience who will be hearing that, correct? The host and a less intelligent person would think, well, looks like this host has corona, or sometime the next week he may call a diabetes expert. The next week he may call some other cancer expert. The next week he may call some other expert. But it's not that the host has all those diseases. It's not that the host is asking those questions or about those symptoms and precautionary measures and stuff like that for his own benefit. The host is asking for the audience. And who is that audience? All of us. Arjuna is acting like the host of the talk show. And he seems to be he's in ignorance. He's confused what to do, what not to do. He's crying. He's he's inactive, acting like an inactive, don't want to fight. We'll see that later. He's acting like a doubtful person. I do not know what's right, what's wrong. I feel confused. I'm lacking confidence. I don't know whether this is right or that's right. How many of you feel that this is something, happens in your life also, right? Does it happen to anyone? Lack of confidence, indecision, don't know what's right, what's wrong, confusion, bewilderment, sometimes crying, sometimes not knowing, should I take this path or that path, right? That happens at the beginning of chapter, in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. And then Krishna speaks the whole wonderful message of Bhagavad Gita. And then Arjuna's state is completely different. From doubt to clarity, from ignorance to knowledge, from confusion to focus, from darkness to light. So that's Bhagavad Gita. It's not just meant for Arjuna. Arjuna is just like a wire medium, but it is for all of us to uplift us from our doubtful state, from our state of depression, ignorance, confusion, bewilderment, darkness, stress, etc., to focus, clarity, knowledge, happiness, eternity. That's Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, it's applicable to everyone, whether one is 5-year-old, 50-year-old, young, old, Indian, American, Russian, black, white, yellow, brown, green. All these things are secondary. All those things don't matter because Bhagavad Gita is beyond those designations. It is for to purify our existence, to purify our consciousness. So that's the meaning of Bhagavad Gita. That is why Bhagavad Gita is so important. And as I said in the beginning, there will be certain axiomatic truths that you may not completely agree with those, but whatever we are sharing here, now I wanted to share a very, very important point, that whatever we are sharing here is not any Tom, Dick, Harry's conclusions. It's the conclusion of the wonderful parampara system, the disciplic succession. This knowledge is received from Lord Krishna to Brahma, Narada, Vyasa, Madhava, Narhari, etc., etc., and keeps going to Lord Chaitanya, Srila Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, etc., and then ultimately to Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who brought this knowledge to the Western countries and distributed in millions and millions and millions of copies of Bhagavad Gita all around the globe, so that the, the ignorance of the world can be destroyed and the light through the light of knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So there are three ways, my dear friends. There are three ways of attaining knowledge. Okay. One is called guesswork, Anuman Praman. I can guess anything. Oh, tomorrow it will rain. Oh, tomorrow it will snow. Tomorrow this will happen. Tomorrow the world will end. If I keep doing like this, what will you say? This person has gone crazy, right? Looks like he needs some psychiatric treatment. This is the worst form of knowledge. The next is Pratyaksha Praman. Some say, no, no, I believe in seeing. Seeing is believing. Or I want to see from my direct senses, correct? Pratyaksha, Sakshat. Then only I'll believe. How can I trust Bhagavad Gita? Who has seen Krishna? Who has seen this? Who has seen Brahma? So like unreasonable doubt mentality is also not good, because who has seen, in some of us may have studied electrons, protons, neutrons. Some of us studied other. How many of you has seen Australia? Raise your hand if you have seen Australia or Alaska. How many have seen Alaska? Anyone has seen Alaska from your direct senses? Maybe one or two may have been. But how many of you believe there is a place called Alaska? Right? So you're believers. So you believe in hearing from someone. And that's fine, because it's not that you heard from any Tom, Dick, Harry. You heard from right sources, probably from your geography books. That's Shastra. Probably from your teachers, from your geography teachers, or probably from the people who have been there. So from somewhere you heard from the right source that there is a place, something like that. So similarly, these souls are not ordinary people. They have the special potency of the Supreme Lord. And sometimes the Lord himself comes to spread this message, to spread the dharma, to reestablish. Whenever there's a wonderful line in the introduction, Lord Krishna descends to reestablish the real purpose of life. So while you read, look for that line. So to reestablish, or he sends his bona fide, wonderful devotees to reestablish the real purpose of life. When people are going in the age of darkness, in the wrong direction, the Lord cannot see it. The Lord is so compassionate. It's like a father. Will any father or any mother like to see the children going in wrong direction? Raise your hand if you would like to see your children or grandchildren go in a wrong direction. No one would like it, correct? Similarly, the Lord does not want the children or the grandchildren to go in the wrong direction. Therefore, there's a nice verse in again an introduction. Maya mugdha jive nahi swata Krishna gyan jive rakripaya kaila Krishna Veda Puran. The forgetful living entities or the conditioned souls have forgotten their relationship with the Supreme Lord, and they are engrossed in thinking of material activities, eating, sleeping, mating, enjoy. Life is meant to enjoy. Work hard, party harder. Forget about tomorrow. Who cares? Life is meant to enjoy. This is a common philosophy in the material world. But an intelligent person knows that this is not the truth. Life is not meant to just enjoy. Life is meant to enjoin with Krishna, enjoy with the Supreme Lord. And through the process of service, through the process of bhakti yoga, which we will study later. So therefore, they're so engrossed in thinking of the material activities, and just to transfer their thinking power to the spiritual sky, Krishna, Dwapaya, and Vyas has given a great number of Vedic literatures. So, Jiveda Kripaya Kaila Krishna Veda Puran. So Lord has, through his energies, through his literary incarnation, like Vyasadeva, etc., he has given this message of Bhagavad Gita. And of course, Bhagavad Gita, he himself spoke. So it is a direct message from the mouth of the Supreme Lord. Why? So that his children, we all are God's children, correct? He's the Supreme Father. So that we all don't get misled in this journey of life, so that we can connect under the guidance of our Supreme Father, our Parampita, and be happy, because we're all suffering in some way or the other. We all have this ignorance, confusion, doubt, bewilderment. So the Father is saying, well, why don't you study Bhagavad Gita and get free from all these impurities? So an intelligent person, like intelligent child like all of you, who are so eager to read Bhagavad Gita, to understand Bhagavad Gita, will certainly take benefit of reading and hearing Bhagavad Gita, and try to be in this state of permanent happiness. So this is about the Anuman Praman. Guesswork is not good. Pratyaksha Praman is also not good. Why? Because our senses have 4 defects. They have a range, right? The eagles can see from a very far distance. The dogs can hear the dog whistle. Can we hear it? No or no? No. Okay, everyone says no. Okay. So the eyes have a range, the ears have a range. If I read this much close, write something on your palm and bring it just right next to your eye, can you read it? No, we can't read it. We need glasses also to read. We need to see for far distance, we need telescope and things like that. The eagles don't need. They can see a much broad range of vision. And then, so we have a range, cheating propensity, tendency to trick others, tendency to be put into illusion. Who all think that they cannot be put into illusion? Anyone thinks like that? That, oh, I can never be put into illusion. For those who think like that, we recently read the story of Lord Shiva, put into illusion by Mohini Murti. Lord Shiva, being the greatest of the demigods, the greatest of the Father, he is put into illusion if the Lord wants. But we don't have to go that far. We will just see how we can put into illusion by these simple images. So raise your hand if you see curved lines in here. Raise your hand. How many of you are able to see the curved lines? Right? You don't have to overthink, just raise your hand. If you don't have to overthink, just raise your hand if you see curved lines in here. Correct? So I see a lot of hands raised up. And this is how illusion. This is like an optical illusion. We see something directly, it's an image. And if you observe at that one line, whichever you are feeling it's curved, then you will see that it's actually not curved. It's actually straight, right? Focus on that line which you are feeling it's curved or inclined. It's not inclined. It's actually parallel. All these lines are parallel. But just a matter of simple optical illusion can put into what to speak. So is receiving knowledge directly from our eyes, from our ears, a very good process? Pratyaksha Praman? No, it's not. Some of you say, Lal, show me some more. How many of you see the triangle in here? Raise your hand again. How many of you are able to see the triangle in here? Right? A lot of you have raised your hand. But there is no triangle actually. There is no triangle, right? If you observe carefully, it just appears to be a triangle, but there is no triangle. Correct? Right? Isn't it? Now, how many of you see, what do you see in this? You can. Anyone would like to say, what do you see in this image?
Left face of a boy.
Face of a boy. Okay. Anyone else seeing something else?
A young woman turning back.
A young woman looking back, turning back. Okay. Anyone else seeing anything else?
Overlapping of man and women.
Overlapping of man and woman. Interesting.
Old woman.
Old woman. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Old woman. So all of you are right. So in this small image, I mean, this only, I'm not changed image, right? It's right in front of you. I'm not doing some illusion here. So there's a young woman and then there's an old woman as well. The chin of the young woman is like the nose of the old woman. Yeah. The neck of the young woman is like the lip of the old woman. So if you carefully notice, I mean, all these example, then there are hundreds of things like that. Even a sunny road, sometimes you may see mirage, correct? It may appear to be water, but it's actually not. What is it? Optical illusion. So for our eyes, and sometimes for the ears, sometimes with our, the point here is that we cannot accept the knowledge just by the medium of our senses. Seeing is not believing. Right in front of us, we saw so many examples. So just relying on our senses may not be a very healthy idea. So what we have to do, we have to go with the third process of knowledge, and that's called Shabda Praman. That means approaching the message from the bona fide parampara through Bhagavad Gita. This is the timeless Vedic wisdom who does not want to cheat us. The Supreme Lord, the Father, does not want to cheat the children. The Father wants to give the best thing. Why? Because of its causeless mercy. All these great souls, Srila Prabhupada didn't come here to get something. For those who may not know, Srila Prabhupada came about 55 years back to share the message in the Western countries. And after that, so many of us were also actually the recipient of his mercy. Why? Because the great souls are like they cannot see others suffer. They are so compassionate, kind upon others, that they want to, stretch themselves, go the extra mile to help others, to relieve them their suffering situation. That's the compassion of the great souls. So we should accept this message. The best way to learn Bhagavad Gita is not through any Tom, Dick, Harry, is not through one's own mental faculties, but through the bona fide message of the Guru Shishya Parampara. And whatever we are going to read, hear, understand, everything will be from the teachings of our predecessors acharyas, primarily Srila Prabhupada's purports and other Vaishnavas as well. So this is about the why of Bhagavad Gita. And then we discuss a few verses from Gita Mahatmya. And every day, sometimes we may not even remember something. It's fine. But the cleansing is going on. The cleansing process is happening every time. Every time we read Bhagavad Gita, for example, how many of you remember what you ate 2.5 weeks back in your lunch meal? Anyone remembers? It's hard to remember, but you ate something, correct? You ate something. How many of you remember you ate 2 years back what you ate in your throughout your day? You don't remember. I don't still remember, right? But you ate something. Similarly, sometimes we may not be able to remember everything, right? Therefore, we need to hear again and again, especially in Kali Yuga, which is the age which is going on. It's hard to remember. It's the age of where everything, the mental faculties, the sense power, ears, eyes, memory, retention, everything is going down. That's one of the symptoms. But it's in a good way, because every time we will hear, we will feel, wow, I never heard this before. So it's a good benefit as well. So the point is that we may not remember, but we may not remember what we ate 2 months back or 2 years back. But if we would have not eaten, if we would have not eaten regularly, we may not remember what we ate, but we would not have been alive. You all agree? Right? Similarly, to be spiritually alive, we need to hear every day. We need to read every day the message of Bhagavad Gita, the message of the great souls, Srila Prabhupada's words. Then we will be spiritually alive. Otherwise, we will become spiritually dead. Otherwise, we will not be able to fulfill the goal of life. Yeah, I request, if you have try to keep your phones on mute. Otherwise, it just distracts. If you have a point, question, comment, then only you raise your hand. Otherwise, you can keep your hands also down. So, since I said that we will read one verse, so now we will go to the first verse. Now, whatever we will be studying here will be from the Parampara, correct? Whatever we are studying is not any Tom, Dick, Harry's words. Yeah, I'll question this. I would just, let's hold the question for next 10 minutes and then we'll certainly come to those questions as well. But since I promised, I want to give a brief background about text one so that we can go as per our schedule. So now we will start with text one. Would someone like to read this verse? It was not read before. Yes, Ravi.
Dharm Kshetre oh, sorry, yeah.
Yes, Ravi Prabhu. Ravi, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्म क्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किं कुर्वत Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do?
Thank you so much. So the first verse of Dhritarashtra, of Bhagavad Gita, was spoken by Dhritarashtra. So I need to give a brief background about Mahabharata. Because Vyasdev has very carefully put the jewel of Bhagavad Gita in the story of Mahabharata. So that's how this, because we all like stories, right? Who doesn't like story? Anyone doesn't like stories? Everyone loves stories, right? We will share a lot of stories, especially in the first chapter. There are so many stories. So the setting in the first chapter is also entitled Setting the Scene, or the introduction. What is this scene? Observing the battlefield. So the Bhagavad Gita, the jewel of Bhagavad Gita, has been carefully laden in the Mahabharata, right in the middle. So the scene is that a lot of attempts. There were Kauravas on one side, the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, who represent the demoniac forces, not because of how they looked. It's not that the demons look in a certain way, but how, because of their outlook towards life, greed, anger, envy, etc. And on the other side are the Pandavas, the sons of Pandu, the 5 Pandavas headed by Yudhishthir Maharaj, Bhima, Arjuna, and Nakula, Sahadeva. So the battle is to get, a lot of attempts were made to get, so that a peace treaty can happen, a negotiation can happen, and Krishna himself also made endeavors so that the battle, so that the Kauravas could give a portion of land to the Pandavas. But Dhritarashtra, Dhrita means to usurp land, Rashtra means land, nation. So he was so blind. Dhritarashtra was blind by birth, and Srila Prabhupada mentions actually in text 2 purport that he was not just blind by birth, he was blind spiritually. As a result, he could not see the wrong in his own children. He was so blinded by the desire to get more. There are 4 types of blind people: blind by birth, blind by desires, blind by wealth, blind by lust, blind by one's own false ego, one's own pride, that they cannot see good in others, and then they cannot see bad in the people whom they are attached to. Dhritarashtra could not see bad in his own child headed by Duryodhana. He was the prime amongst the Kauravas. And now he's asking a very straightforward question: what did they do? Because Prabhupada mentions that the word Dharmashetra is very, very important, because this battle was not happening at an ordinary place. Now, after a lot of attempts were made, now the final conclusion, because the bad side did not accept any negotiation attempts, now the outcome was fight. Now both the sides have assembled. One side of Pandavas, headed by the 5 Pandavas, and Lord Krishna is also on that side. We will discuss next time how Lord Krishna came into that side. And the other side is Kauravas, headed by Duryodhana. So now the battle is about to begin. Okay, the battle is about to begin. Now Dhritarashtra is not in the war ground. He is in Hastinapur, which is, let's say, at least 100 miles away. He is materially blind, spiritually blind, but he has his, you can say, kind of secretary, Sanjay, who has a spiritual vision. And Sanjay is narrating all the episodes what are happening. So Dhritarashtra is basically asking Sanjay this question: that Sanjay, what did they do? How come, now the question may come, it's a very, very nice lesson. How come Sanjay was able to see that? Sanjay was also not able to see through his material eyes. This answer is given in text 18.75. Vyasa Prasadat. By the mercy of his spiritual master Vyasadev, Sanjay was able to see. It's a very important lesson in life. To see things in true perspective, we need the mercy of Guru. Because we will only see things with our material vision, and we discussed it could be full of illusions. But to see things in true perspective, we need the spiritual master. We need the seer. We need to seek the seer who can help us to understand the things in the true perspective. We need Bhagavad Gita which can help us to see things in true perspective. And if we are attached, if we are like Dhritarashtra, then we will not see things in true perspective. Rather, Dhritarashtra here is asking a simple question, but inside he is very, very diplomatic. Inside he's kind of scared of the outcome of the war because it's happening at Dharmashetra, Kurukshetra. Why is it called Dharmashetra, Kurukshetra? There are multiple reasons. Srila Parshuram also, when he destroyed the 21 generation, Parshuram is the warrior incarnation of the Supreme Lord. When he destroyed the 21 generations of the Kshatriyas, and then to atone, he did a lot of yagyas in Kurukshetra, Dharmashetra. Even the Kuru Maharaj also did a lot of yagyas. So basically, it's a place of piety. Now, in a place of piety, what will flourish? Any guesses? Any answers? In a place of dharma, what will flourish? Manasa Mataji wants to share.
Dharma, Dharma Prabhuji.
Dharma will flourish. Very simple. It's like if this is something called lie detecting machine they use. I don't know if it's really true, but I've seen somewhere they use a lie detecting machine. If there is a lie detecting machine, the person who is lying, his heart would tremble. Oh my God, now everything will come out. Now if I say anything bad, I'm in big trouble. The secret agency is following me. So basically that's what is going on in Dhritarashtra's heart. Well, now, because he knew very well that his sons were not on the right side. He knew very well that the sons were following ill religion because multiple attempts were made in the past by his sons to kill the righteous Pandavas. Multiple attempts were made to do peace negotiations. But because of attachment to the bad, Dhritarashtra, who was in a position to do something, did not act. It's again a very important lesson that we should not be so attached to the wrong so that even if we may have some influence to do something, but because of attachment, because of spiritual blindness, he did not act in the right way. And now he's scared of the outcome because he knows very well what is going to happen, that this is a dharma kshetra and Pandavas are dharma, represent dharma, Krishna represents dharma, and Duryodhana and party represents adharma. So what will happen? He's very scared. So what did they do? Did they fight? Did they not fight? So this is the question. And Prabhupada mentions a very, very nice point. As in the paddy field, the unnecessary plants are taken out. So it is expected from the very beginning of these topics that in the religious field of Kurukshetra, where the father of religion, Sri Krishna, the Supreme Lord, was present, the unwanted plants like Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana and others will be wiped out thoroughly, and the religious people headed by Yudhishthira Maharaj would be established. Like a farmer or like a gardener takes out the weeds and make sure the seeds get the nourishment. Similarly, that's what happens when the Supreme Lord is present. So, so that's the first verse in brief by Dhritarashtra. So with so many lessons also we studied, it's almost 6:50. I want to kind of keep the last 10 minutes for some questions or reflections. So today we discuss the importance of Bhagavad Gita, the importance of understanding the knowledge from the right way, not through um, Shabda, not through Pratyaksha or Anuman Praman, not through guesswork, not through direct sense perception, but through bona fide teachers, through the Guru Parampara, through the Bhagavad Gita. And what is the meaning of Bhagavad Gita? Why is it so important to clear our doubt, ignorance, darkness, illusion, and to bring us to focus, clarity, intelligence, knowledge, happiness, from material to spiritual, from this material world to back home to spiritual. And we discussed the mercy. Bhagavad Gita represents the mercy of the Lord. Like a father helps the child, the children, to come out of their dark state. Similarly, Lord Krishna has given this message of Bhagavad Gita through the medium of Arjuna, so all of us can accept this message, read this, understand this, absorb this, apply this, and be happy. Because he cannot see us in suffering condition. The great souls cannot see us in darkness. So that's, and then we discuss the verse 1 as well. So as I said, different people will read it differently, but I encourage at least you read the introduction throughout the next week and the first 1 or 2 verses of Bhagavad Gita. And then the next verse, we will start next week. We will do the 2 verses of Gita Mahatmya and then start. So since we have to about discuss like 15 verses per week, approximately. Some days we'll do more, some days we'll do less. So we'll not be touching every word of purport. So in about 52 weeks, we'll be completing, but that assignment is for you. At your convenient time, every day read for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, etc. And you can easily be able to do this. Okay, the last 10 minutes for any questions, comments, thoughts, corrections. So many of you are so intelligent and so devoted on this path of bhakti. So I would love to hear your thoughts and any questions, comments. So yeah, raise your hand so it will help. Yes, Sachinji, please.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for answering taking my question. My question regarding was the parampara system. This was my basic question which I have always. After Prabhupada, who is our guru? Like after Prabhupada, is there someone guru who is bona fide?
That's a great question. So after Srila Prabhupada are his wonderful disciples. And all of them who are really following Srila Prabhupada's words and instructions are all bona fide. Just to name a few, like His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Loknath Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Raga Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Swami Maharaj, and multiple Grihastha devotees as His Grace Visheshika Prabhu, His Grace Mahatma Prabhu. So there's a complete list of Prabhupada's disciples. And then there is a body called Governing Body Commission. It's a different topic altogether. But that's kind of Prabhupada wanted this kind of structure to happen so that the right decisions can be made as a team, not as an individual, as a team of devotees. And Prabhupada has a very, very special place in all of the devotees in ISKCON family, and therefore he is our preeminent Shiksha Guru. So, but the Diksha Guru, we can accept from the list of the recommended by GBC. And so the answer is yes. There are his wonderful disciples who are carrying on the parampara.
But according to Prabhupada's, he appointed Ritviks, who are his senior disciples as his representative, and nothing. He did not tell that you will be guru or you will be spiritual master, because according to Nectar of Instructions, text 1, it's it's very, very apparent like what's going on in the material world right now.
Sure. I think that's a great point, but this is beyond the subject of today's discussion, and it's a big topic. So maybe we can discuss this personally and some other time. because it's a big topic in itself, and it may take a lot of time to discuss that topic. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. I think Saurabh and Saloni have asked this question. You mentioned Lord Krishna as a supreme father, but many people consider him as a friend. What does Bhagavad Gita say about relationship with Krishna? It's a great question, Saurabh. And actually, in the introduction, you will read about the different types of relationships with the Supreme Lord, like Shantiras, Dasiras, Sakiras, as a friend, as a father, as a child, as a parent, as a conjugal lover, etc. So uh, I'm sure your question will get clarified there. So, but in short, if I quickly answer, then it's the answer is yes. But ultimately, the most prominent thing is first we need to understand the supremacy of the Lord, the Bhagavata of the Lord. Otherwise, we will take Krishna for granted. So first we need to understand who is the Supreme Lord, and then we will be able to focus more on the relationship. So first the sambandha, or the understanding, who am I? And that's like the 5 topics which we'll cover in the journey of our reading. Who am I? Who is God? What is my relationship? What is the destination? We'll talk about karma, we'll talk about kala, and we'll talk about the prakriti, the nature, the energies of the Supreme Lord as well. So it will certainly come in your reading of the introduction, and I highly recommend everyone to read that. Is that okay, sir? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Anyone? I think Ikant Prabhu has raised his hand, so please ask your question or comment.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. What led to the war, Prabhuji? I mean,
Perfect.
Pandavas and Kauravas, since childhood, they were having so many quarrels, and they tried to destroy Pandavas. But what led to the war? Like Dharma Kshetra. So, what happened actually?
That's a good question. I'll answer this briefly today, but in the next, because it's a bigger question, and most of you may not be, some of you may be familiar with some Bharata background, some of you maybe not. It's a very big and thousands of verses. But in short, Maharaj Pandu died young. Who was the father of Pandavas? He died young. And at that time, Dhritarashtra was appointed as the king, although he was the younger brother, because the elder brother was missing in action. You can see his body had passed. But now, what happens next? That the eldest son would be the king. So technically, as per the rules of dharma, Yudhishthira Maharaj was supposed to be the king. And therefore, this comes, actually, it's an interesting story that when Gandhari, the mother of the Kauravas, saw that Mata Kunti has already given birth to an elder child, she banged her womb, and the lump of flesh came, and then the Kauravas were born from that 100 parts in the 100 pots. So that's a long story, but the point was that technically Yudhishthira Maharaj was supposed to be the king, but Dhritarashtra and party didn't want to do that to happen, and therefore they were making multiple attempts to kill them. And then finally Krishna also personally asked, just give them 5 villages out of the whole world, give them 5 villages, that's it. And then finally said, I'll not give drop of or a pin, the tip of the land equivalent to the tip of the needle, because of greed, desires, etc. So therefore this war had to come after making multiple attempts. Okay, so that's a brief, but next time we can discuss more. Okay, can you suggest any Telugu Bhagavad Gita for my parents? Yes, there is Telugu, there's Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is, Yatatatam, right? That's what we call in Telugu, is available in Telugu as well as it is. So, where do you live, Amitji? You're in India or US? Yeah, just contact me wherever you're in India or US. I can help you to get the Bhagavad Gita. Atlanta, we can ship it to you. If you're interested, just I hope you have my WhatsApp number or my email. Just contact me. I'll send this to you. Okay. Anything else? Anyone? Any comments, any reflections, anything before we stop for today?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I have a question that this Bhagavad Gita like tells us everything, right? All our queries, all our questions, what we should do, right? Then why we have so many other books? Then we can just read one and that's it. Like we have tons and thousands of books, right? So if this book like includes everything, why we need to read other books then?
That's a great question. And actually, we discussed that in text number 4 of the Gita Mahatmya. Gita Sugita Kartavya Kim Anya Shastra Vistre. Yaswayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padma Vinishrita. Because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one does not need any other Vedic literature. One need attentively only hear and read Bhagavad Gita. In the present age, people are so absorbed in the mundane activities that it is not possible for them to read all the Vedic literatures. If I say you have to read 10,000 verses of this Purana and then 100,000 verses of this Veda and that Veda, it will be all confusion. And actually, the next verse will come in the Gita Mahatmya next time we'll study. So the answer is it's actually not required, right? It's not essential. It's like, it's not essential. The first step is to read and understand and try to apply Bhagavad Gita properly. And if one has that sincere heart, Bhagavad Gita will reveal everything. Bhagavad Gita will reveal everything. But, we are not at that level of that purity. So Prabhupada has also given Srimad Bhagavatam, which is like Bhagavad Gita in action. Bhagavad Gita is the talk about Lord. Bhagavatam is the talk. Bhagavad Gita is the song of God, and Bhagavatam is a song about God and his devotees as well. Like how the great souls like Prithu Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj lived the essential principles of Bhagavad Gita, and so many other great souls. Bhagavad Gita talks about the Guru Shishya relationship, how Narad Muni had so many disciples, what was their outlook towards Narad Muni, how they approached, how they asked questions. So, Srimad Bhagavatam will help us to further deepen our knowledge, and therefore Srila Prabhupada quotes multiple times in practically every verse something from Bhagavad Gita to help us deepen our connection with Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. If one sincerely studies Bhagavad Gita and also Bhagavatam after a certain point, that doesn't mean we have to stop Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is very, very essential and will continue to be there for the last breath, should be there till our last breath. We don't need millions of books. Okay.
I just want to add one thing here. So to the same question which Mataji asked. So Bhagavad Gita, as you said, the of the Mahatmya, we have to practice that. And if we go through the Bhagavad Gita, we see that it's the science of self-realization according to different yoga systems. So if we do that, and if we approach a spiritual master or a self-realized person, and then Arjuna also asked, like, who is a self-realized person? So it's actually then it's complete in itself. So then we do not need to go anywhere if we just make it practical. If we, so that is how we, just by reading it is not going to, otherwise, there will be no F grades in classes if one is not, just reading the books without giving the exams.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, I think it's 7 o'clock in US here, so that's what we planned. So we want to respect everyone's time. So I am so grateful to all of you for taking out your precious time to study Bhagavad Gita. And remember, for next week, if you feel inspired, I highly encourage, recommend, suggest as your well-wisher, brother, son, to read the introduction and the first few verses. If you don't have Bhagavad Gita, it's available online as well, vedabase.io. But I would recommend a hard copy. If you don't have, message me. We'll send it to you soon. It's there on Amazon as well. Bhagavad Gita as it is. That's our main reference or the main book we are reading. But thank you so much for your sincerity, your eagerness, and joining all the way from different parts of the country and the globe, and having a sangam of the nectar of the Ganges of Bhagavad Gita. What could be a better sangam than this ocean of devotees, and bathing ourselves in this wonderful Bhagavad Gita discussion. So we'll continue to bathe ourselves because we need it regularly. Okay, so please keep attending and inspire your ones, family, friends, etc.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Bhagavad Gita Upanishad ki jai. Shri Prabhupada
Jai.
Samavita Gaur Bhaktavind ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare